Alright, hi guys, how's it going? Today we are looking at the BS1S from BPS. So this was probably about the third or fourth knife I got from this company. I started with the HK1S and the BS3FTS, and then this one popped up on Amazon. They're not always all in stock, so if you ever do see a specific model on Amazon that's not in stock, just wait a little while or even contact the company. When I contacted them, they told me that they almost prefer people to order through Amazon because shipping from the Ukraine can take a long time directly from their site. You'll save a bit of money ordering directly from them, but they had so many complaints about shipping taking so long and people asking for refunds while stuff was in the mail that they actually prefer, unless you are okay waiting potentially 2 months for an item to get to you, uh, order through Amazon and just wait for them to get it back in stock because they constantly restock Amazon. So yeah, back to the knife. So this is a partial or a rat tail tang. Their cheapest offering, I do believe it's 19.99 Canadian, and they recently started charging taxes on their orders, so uh, probably like 22 bucks, 23 bucks or something after tax. So it's just about the same price as the Mora 511 Basic or the 511 Pro C or the Mora Pro C or whatever, which they're usually about the same price. This one is more in line of the blade shape with the basic. Uh, it is, I do believe, a 2 millimeter thick blade, rounded back so it's not sharpened or anything, which is great for me because I use this as a carving neck knife. I like to always have at least one knife with me to keep my hands busy while I wait for people or watching TV. Uh, to like carve and just do little things. It keeps me away from phone scrolling, doing something constructive. So I actually prefer most of the BPS knives, like this BS3S here or BS3 FTS, have a very aggressively sharpened spine, which makes it great for striking a ferro rod if you like to do that. I'm not a big ferro rod striker. I always usually carry a lighter on me, and I prefer to light fires that way. Uh, so on these, like especially if I use them for carving, I like to round the spine close to the base of the knife, where usually I'll be pushing with my thumb because it's just sharp enough where it won't cut you, but it will chew your thumb apart after an hour of carving or even less. So if you'd like to carve without gloves like I do, uh, I on the sharpened spine BPS knives, I always break the corners on here because they're entirely too sharp if you actually like to push cut on the back of the knife, and I do a lot. I find that's where most of my control comes. So, yeah, this is the. I don't know if you could see it because probably not. There's a little bit of a patina on this one. Uh, this is the carbon model. They I'm not sure if they sell this model in stainless steel. I'm not crazy about BPS's stainless steel. I think they use a 5 CR MOV 15 or 13. It's not a bad steel, especially I have yet to get a stainless steel knife from BPS. But if they heat treat their stainless anything like their high carbon, I'm sure it'll be fine. But I always prefer high carbon if I can get it, especially if it's if the stainless offerings are a CR, 5 CR, 8 CR. 8 CR is not too bad, but I think BPS could do a little bit better, especially given that they're in the Ukraine. I don't understand why they don't get the same stuff. Mora uses the Sandvik. I think that would be a better option. even though I'm not crazy about Sandvik either. It's good steel, but I don't know. I much prefer a high carbon to the Sandvik stainless steel. So yes, knife length is, let me bust out. So you're looking at a total length of 8 inches from tip to tail there, and then the actual cutting knife length is 3.5 inches or nine centimeters from the tip of the knife to the base of the blade there. Yeah, thickness 2 millimeter thick. Walnut handles, I do believe. With these ones, I think the models prior to this one, like they didn't have this collar here where it was just an open hole and they just pressed the blade right in and were, I guess, depending on the friction to hold the blade in. I think they got some complaints about those with the blades falling out because they added this after. And even with this one, like after about 2 hours of heavy use, I felt the blade wanted to move around in this. So all I did was uh, put the blade, or I put super glue underneath it when I was moving around. I got some very thin super glue and just squeezed it, and it all went underneath there. And I'm pretty sure it made its way in the hole. And then put the blade in my vise, and then gave a little tappy tap here just to make sure it was seated all the way in. And I haven't had a single problem with the blade falling out since. So, or getting loose. So I'm thinking I solved that problem, but that's something you should keep an eye out for. I would not want to use this heavy duty. I've seen some reviews with people batoning with it or batoning with it, and you're just crazy if you do that. I mean, you can split a thin kindling or something if you really need to, but anything more than, I don't know, half-inch thick or an inch thick, you don't use this. Just get a real knife. This is meant for cutting, not smashing. That's why they have these cheaper models. For people who just want a good blade material and don't have to worry about the affixation and having to go crazy strong with that to make it more robust. So this is exactly the strength it should be for the tasks that it's designed for. This handle came a little rough. I took some sandpaper, sanded it off, broke the edges a little bit. I tried to force a patina on it when I first got it just to see uh, how corrosive resistant the 1066 is, and I put it in a potato for like 4 hours and it didn't do anything. So I'm noticing now that I take it outside. I use it for fishing sometimes, cutting line, and I'm a little more neglectful of this one because I want to try and get a patina going on it, and the natural patina forming on it is much nicer than and it's actually forming as opposed to when I tried to force a patina. I'm sure I could put it in some hot vinegar and get that gray kind of patina, but I don't like that either. I like the bluey kind of when it patinas in different colors. I like that. I prefer that to just the vinegar. And honestly, I wipe my blade. You don't need to force a patina on a carbon blade. If you just use your knife, it'll happen. Um, this thing came scary sharp like all of the BPS knives. I put a slightly more convex edge on it. Because of the cheaper knives, I find the edges are not quite as good as the $30 to $40 BPS knives they sell. Maybe they're just pumping these up and they don't pump these out, and they assume they don't want to waste time uh, getting these crazy sharp. Like they're very sharp, but like that, it's not as refined. Like I find the other knives, they have a slight convex to them already. Like somebody has machined them on a slack belt or something, and I really enjoy that because I usually end up scandivexing or slight convexing all my blades eventually. Find it a little easier to sharpen. Don't have to be quite as attentive, and then I can strop maintenance afterwards, and that's all. That's all I like to do with my blades. I'm mostly strop sharpen. Uh, I try to maintain them after every two or 3 times after every use, because yeah, I find it much easier to strop to maintain a blade and maintain it periodically, as opposed to letting it get really dull and then having to rebuild the edge totally. One thing, I want to get weight on this because this is probably one of the best pros about this blade is just how light it is for a fixed blade knife. Let's see, we're in ounces here. We got 2.1 ounces without the sheath. Let's go grams. I like grams better. So 61 grams without the sheath. Sheath on. 92 grams. So under 100 grams for a fixed blade knife. It's I don't even notice it. I usually put this lanyard through and just tie it around my neck, and it disappears. I don't notice it, and super easy to pull out, but still has really good retention. You could probably upside down carry this as a neck knife if you wanted to put a hole through there or something and do an upside down carry, and that thing is not coming out. And I have two of these. This one is the has the least retention. The other one is almost too hard to get out of the knife or the sheath, which is okay because I'm sure the leather will get a little suppler as it breaks in, and it'll slide out. But I've pulled this one out of the sheath hundreds of times, and it's still, still right in there. So retention is good, weight's good. I don't know if I can get. Maybe I need to strop this. But yeah, it shaves right now. It feels a little rough. Maybe I haven't stropped it in a little while, so it could use a little bit of maintenance. But yeah, when this thing is up to snuff, it's insane. And part of the reason why I like carving so much, it's very very thin, similar to the Mora companion, the normal companion, not the HD. It's almost identical in blade shape and a little shorter length, but same draw point, same belly shape. Again, just like the other BS3 FDS, compared to the Mora HD, the tips are ground a little more shallower, at a less steep angle than the Moras. Like you could see right at the tip, these ones, you have a little more length to play with here, which makes the tip a little more useful when carving small details. I don't like to necessarily carry my tiny little flex cut carving knives everywhere, so that is a big pro to me when it comes to a little neck knife or belt knife, that the tip is good enough to do fine details if you want to carve a little face or something, or even just when you're using it to make bushcraft things. Definitely has a little more usefulness to the tip. So let's quickly just show you cutting it into some wood here, just to give you an example of how it might feather stick. This is, gosh, an old piece of, I don't even know what kind of wood this is. My wife was using it to hold a plant up. It is old, it is dry, so it's probably not going to feather stick the best, but you can get some really nice, fine snarls with this thing. And just like most Scandinavian grind knives, it just bites right into the wood. I highly suggest, if you have one, to put a slight convex if it didn't already come with one on it, because it just gives you that little more control. You can like refine your feather sticks as you're cutting them. You're not like plowing through. You can actually like make it go thinner or thicker, because the slight convex allows you to turn your blade a little more. I don't know if you've ever had a convex edge on a knife, and then it's like, if you're like, when you're doing the paper cut, the paper test, I find you can turn your blade a lot easier because of the way the edge is riding on the blade. So I'll save that for a different video, talking about actual edge grinds. So back to the knife. Yeah, BS1S by BPS, small Ukrainian company. Well, I don't know if they're small. They're obviously big enough to supply Amazon, but they're no more. I think they're a lot more traditional of a company. Probably a lot more handwork done there, given that they're mounting these blades into wood. It's not like the Moras where it's all machine built and you got blades going into machines that just take over the whole job, and then from start to end they do the grinding and everything. This is a little more, which I actually prefer that. I'm all for making a factory efficient, but keeping people having jobs is nice. Eventually, there will be no room for manual labor. Until then, keep those machinists working, keep those knife makers working. So I'm very happy with what BPS is doing there. They're making some really good knives, and they're not charging an arm and a leg. I have quite a few other knives that cost, I don't know, 100 to 150 Canadian, and they don't have the type of fit and finish that this knife does. Like, not, maybe not specifically this one because it is their lowest end model, but even like this was the 39 Canadian, 20 Canadian, so about double the price. But the fit and finish you get in these knives is just amazing. Like, the handles are going to be a little rough, but like sandpaper, a little bit of sandpaper, a little bit of time. I would rather do a little bit of work like that myself and pay half the price, or even less than half the price, than pay 150, 200, and most likely get a knife with the exact same issues. Because I think the last knife I got, Joker Campero, which I'm gonna do a review on that. Like, the knife didn't even fit into the sheath. They sent it from Spain without even test fitting the knife into the sheath. I had to cut away part of the wood and like taper parts to make the actual knife fit into the sheath. And I think that was $130 plus $20 shipping. And yeah, man, the fact that they can make a knife this good, with this good of an edge, with what is obviously not expensive steel, but they have figured out how to make it work well. That's an A plus thing to do. That's an awesome thing to do, to be able to keep the prices that low. So hopefully they're making a decent amount of money. Hopefully they're making a living. I would imagine they are, because they haven't went out of business yet. So keep doing what you're doing, BPS. I'm gonna do a review for this knife next. It'll probably be very similar to this review, just a little tabletop. This one is a brand new, no scratches on it, but I have another one which I carry on here, or on my Taravas Grandma, that has most of the wear on it, but we'll get to that in the next video. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.